Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. As you said, I'm Graeme, MD of KaarbonTech. For anyone that doesn't know KaarbonTech, we provide asset management solutions for local authorities, so a range of software, surveying, advice and consultancy. Anyone that does know of us possibly will know us more for our drainage work, drainage and gully systems. But today we're going to talk about how we're using data and innovation at the moment to manage trees and tree risk management. So obviously there are a key number of reasons why you would maintain trees. They've got social value, economic, they look nice, they help the climate, we need trees. But the bottom line, when it comes down to what makes you do things and what makes you drive as a local authority, then essentially it's, well, what's going to cost me the most? And so avoiding litigation, making sure that you're kind of securing the public pound, avoiding negative PR and things are really kind of what goes into that. You also have a duty of care in order to maintain maintain trees and the safety of things on the public highway. So some of the bigger county councils, there are large numbers of trees here. We're talking about kind of up to 2 million on a highway. You also will be managing trees in parks, across council-owned land, schools and the other things. And litigation costs, if someone is to get injured or die from those, can be astronomical. We have had cases where it's upwards or more of £1 million. The problem that a lot of authorities have is you've got a small tree officer team, 1 or 2 people, very ad hoc reactive. They're kind of responding to what's happening on the ground. Don't necessarily have time to go out and build a proactive inventory, don't necessarily know what's happening there. And the limited tree inventory really holds you back from being able to establish a risk-based approach. I've got a couple of examples of things that have happened. So this is just last year, 2023, the HSE prosecuted Newcastle City Council, 280 grand because the tree fell, killed someone. They had not identified the extent of the tree's condition or managed that risk, managed it in any kind of way. Another one, Whitley Parish Council in 2018. They had an inspection regime, but the inspection regime was, we do everything every 3 years. It wasn't based on a risk. There was a specific tree, it had severe root decay, it was on a high risk route, so it was a fast road next to a bus stop, high target area. It fell, injured someone, and the courts found against them because they said, well, in that instance, you should see that should be visited more than another. But it's not all bad news. They have been successfully defended. So 2022, Hampshire County Council won their case. They successfully defended a claim despite death from a falling tree. And that was because they had a risk-based approach in process. It was in place, it was being followed. They devised a tree risk management strategy, and the people that they were using out to go and inspect those trees were appropriately qualified. So I think really what we're kind of saying here is, as long as you've got a system that you've devised that is robust, as long as it's documented and followed by appropriate people, then there is no reason that it should be an issue. But the problem with that is you can't do any of that unless you have an inventory in the first place. And this is sort of where we come in. So we're currently in the process of using remote sensing and LiDAR to create a tree inventory. So if anyone doesn't know what LiDAR is, it's basically where you fire a laser and bounce it off something that tells you how far away it is. If you fly from above with a plane, then it'll tell you the heights of things. And we also know from mapping and what is man-made, what is naturally existing, what's natural foliage. So we can cut out the any man-made stuff, and then that shows us what trees, what foliage and things are around. We can accurately determine the heights of those trees. And then because we know where the canopies are, we can create polygons that we can pretty much accurately suggest we know where that stem is from knowing where the polygon itself is in the center of the tree. We also have information around OS master map and highway boundaries and who owns which area of land. And we can tell from where that stem is accurately who's going to own that land, because you only want to be investigating or maintaining trees that are the authority's ownership. This is something that we've devised, as you can see. I mean, there are other things out there that do similar things. You've got national tree map data. What really sets this apart is you can see those dots in all of those places. That's where the stems are, and that's where we can identify that you've got those tree points and whether or not they own the council own the land. That allows us to create an instant inventory. So rather than spending tens and tens of years with a crew of 2 people going out and plotting 2,000 trees a year of potentially a highway network of 250,000, 500,000 trees, we can instantly say, these are the trees. Now, it doesn't prevent you having to go and survey them, but it makes it much simpler to prioritise where you need to go. You've got the heights, you've got that compared to what you know as the public land, where the key things, where the high importance assets. It removes the risk of walking roads that don't have trees. Now you might still want to check that, double check and verify, but we can do that with driven or desktop surveys and say, actually, why am I sending someone down there when we don't believe there's a tree and there actually aren't? So it means you can focus the resource, and it complements the existing survey work. So it doesn't negate having to send someone out, but you've already got that tree, you've got it plotted, you've got the height of it, and so it's much, much quicker when you get on site to do an inspection because you're not having to do those extra bits already. You can just assess the safety of the tree, take the photos, and move on to the next one. And as with everything, what we're trying to do things leaner, quicker, smarter, more efficiently all the time. That's what it comes down to. We've found that it's proven that actually surveying is 60% faster and cheaper than it would be doing it in the old traditional methods. Once you've built an inventory, you still need to be able to manage that risk. So it's not just a case of, okay, we've got everything, we know what we're doing. We need to then have a cyclical regime to say, we're going to look at these every 1.5 years versus these every 3 years, for instance. We've talked about actually, the reasons for going about doing it, trying to avoid all those extra costs that we've talked about already. If we have a quick look at this here, this is some mapping and modelling that we do on tree risk. So you've got colours there and balls. The wider the ball, the higher the tree, and therefore the wider the target. So where it's likely to fall. If it's going to fall, what's it going to hit? The condition and the defect history of it gives you a red or yellow or green score. And we take a lot more other information alongside that. So we're looking at basically what's the vulnerability and the importance of the tree, the inspection data, the species of the tree, the road hierarchy, the flood zones. We can bring in soil types, pathogens, life stage, general condition. All of that goes to a weighted score to say, actually, this tree is more vulnerable than the next, and the importance will be about where it sits. So does it sit on an A road versus at the end of a cul-de-sac, or does it sit outside a school or a bus stop, and the other things that we discussed. Gives us these 2 bits here. You can see the green one on the right is a small, quiet residential road. They've got some small trees that have never known to have any defects, versus the red circle is a recreation grounds, some big trees in those grounds that have had major issues in the past, and so therefore it sort of makes sense that actually I want to prioritise my focus and my regime on maintaining those. And we come out basically to what you would do with any kind of risk matrix. You're looking at 2 measures. You're looking at, so this is showing you kind of like how you might weight and score that. But you want to build a risk matrix. So the risk matrix is saying you've got importance along one side, and that's those kind of things about where does it sit, how much do I care about it, what issue is it going to cause me if it falls, versus how likely it is to fall. So those there in the bottom right corner there are your highest priority, and you can then start to use whatever resource and budgeting to work out where you need to go and spend the time and how you can work that into your regime. Example of one we've just been doing here in Staffordshire. So we built a whole tree risk management strategy for them and the scoring based on that, where we were looking at, you can see the road hierarchy with the roads there in the different colours. You've got an unclassified road here, but actually it's right next to a high-use public site. It's got 2 bus stops on it. It's got a number of trees with severe ash dieback on it. So those are classed as very high-risk trees, and we will visit them every 1 to 1.5 years, rather than the fact that in old classifications they would have been on a U road, probably would never ever be visited. We're taking it a step further as well. So all of this is brilliant at the local authority level and is helping kind of day to day to build that picture. But we're kind of our aspiration, our view, is to build something for the future that's actually going to help the country, help us understand things more, help us better prepare for the changing climate, for degradation of the trees we've got, for the kind of prepare for the future. And we're using kind of a number of different tools to run data through and collaborate with other people to try and understand the spread. So this is an example of the spread of ash dieback across a county. We're modelling that across a number of other counties to see how it's spreading from the southeast of England up through the Midlands over time. So you've got a number of triangles here which show healthy trees, and behind that the heat map of the concentration of where there is ash dieback. And we've seen that spread and move over the years, so we can predict actually where's it likely to hit next and take preventative measures. To that end, we've set up the Tree Management Research Group alongside Kew Gardens. So Kew Gardens is one of our big users of our tree system, obviously very well respected and well known, but don't necessarily have the communication and the day-to-day talk with the local authorities. So we sort of act as a middleman, a conduit there to help them, there you go, help that kind of thing, with an idea of actually how do we collaborate, how do we share information, how do we inform them. We're undertaking these research projects, exploring other innovation, and then moving on to the future and improving tree management. So that's me. That's a very whirlwind tour of how we manage kind of trees and the kind of things we do with data behind our asset management software. Similar methodology applies across the other elements we do, so grass and drainage and things as well. If you're interested in anything more, please grab me afterwards and have a chat, or we are right by the entrance or exit as you're leaving later. Has anyone got any questions? In which case, I will run away. Thank you very much.